Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. Today I'm going to finally reveal the recipe that we have been working on. It is chai blondies. It's a white chocolate chai brownie. And again, I'm kind of winging this here, so you're witnessing history in the recipe in the making, because I've never done this before. I'm just trying it out. I'm just going to hope this turns out. All the recipe measurements are down below. The first thing I'm going to do is put brown sugar and butter in a medium saucepan, preferably a non-stick, and we're going to bring this not to a boil, bring it to medium heat until the sugars dissolve, the brown sugar dissolves, and at that point we're going to continuously stir for, I don't know, maybe about a minute, and just to heat it up a bit more. And then we're going to remove it from the heat and let it sit. So I'm going to bring this to the stove, stir it all together, and I'll show you what it looks like once the sugar is all dissolved. Great, so I'm continuously stirring. It's still not everything's melted. I just wanted to show you what this looks like as everything's incorporated. So this is what it looks like as it's being incorporated. And you can see it develops a very nice glossy brown color. So we're going to need to wait until everything mixes together and the sugars have fully dissolved. Alright, so this is what you're looking for right here. It's just bubbling. It's not completely come to a boil. You don't want it to come to a boil. I let the sugars dissolve and stir this for about another minute. So now I'm going to remove this from the heat and let this cool. So while our butter sugar mixture is now cooling, we can add our dry mixture, just put them simply together really quickly. So you're going to need a pinch of salt, some flour, and some rolled oats. You could also use chopped nuts if you prefer. I haven't tried it out, but I don't see how anything can go wrong. And just simply whisk this together really quickly. That's all. Perfect. So that's that. So now all we have left here is one egg, and then an egg yolk, and then some vanilla extract. And the reason why I'm adding just an extra egg yolk and not a whole egg is I really want the richness out of this, and the egg yolk adds a lot of richness on its own. And yeah. And then I've prepared an 8-inch baking pan and preheated the oven to 350 degrees right now. Now we have here our pastry cream. So what I'm going to do is simply wake this up a bit. It's been in the fridge for quite a while. By quite a while, I mean a few days. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of the chai mixture and put it in here. It's going to have a nice strong chai flavor. Putting just a little under a tablespoon, and we're going to whisk that in right now. And you want to whisk this basically until it's well combined. It will develop color, of course, because the pastry cream mixture is light and the chai mixture is dark. So eventually you'll get a nice smooth consistency. Just make sure all the spices are well mixed in. You don't want any to be clumped at the bottom. You want to make sure you get right from the bottom. Alrighty. So here's our here's our pastry cream mixture with the chai added, and you can see it's developed a nice light brown color. And so we're going to whisk this, or use a spatula as I'm doing, and that should be good. So now all there's left to do is wait another few minutes for the butter sugar mixture to cool, and then we're going to add the eggs and the vanilla, and I'll show you what that looks like once we're there. I let my butter sugar mixture cool, and that's what yours should look like. And so now I'm going to add in the yolk, just on its own at first. Whoops, why is it not all coming out? There we go. And whisk constantly, because the mixture, even though we've cooled it down a bit, it's still a bit hot. So I've added in that egg yolk. Now I'm going to, once I temper this well, I'm going to add in a whole egg. Alright. And then beat well. Really mix it well, you don't want to curdle the egg. There we go. I'm going to add in the vanilla extract. Stir that in. And you want to use a good vanilla extract, and you can use the amount you want. A vanilla flavor really complements the blondies very well. Because basically this is the blondies part. And stay tuned, because I will do one of my favorite blondie recipes in the near future, but this is an adaptation. There we go. So that's what it should look like with all your wet ingredients. So now what's left is to add our dry. So I'm going to add the dry mixture just right in here. And you're just going to mix this until it's all combined. And you can see as I'm doing, as soon as it's combined, stop, because you don't want to overmix it to work the gluten. Okay, that should be good enough. If you can see specks of flour, that's good, because that means you haven't beat it too much. So the next thing we're going to do is take only half the mixture, and put half the mixture in the bottom here of our prepared 8-inch pan. So that should just about be half. We're creating a small layer, so this will be a very thin. We want a nice blondie bottom and blondie top. So here, we're just simply doing a small layer. So it just takes a little bit of patience just to spread it out evenly. Almost there. Okay, so that's what your mixture should look like. It's just a very, very thin layer, very thin cookie layer. So now I'm going to put this in the oven for about, I would say only about 5 to 8 minutes. All we want this to do, we're not trying to fully cook it, but we want it to form a nice layer so that we can add another layer on top. So I would say around 5 to 8 minutes. You're looking for it just to develop maybe a little tiny bit of color, a little bit of brownness, but mainly that it's set and you're able to put another layer on top. So I'm going to put this in our 350-degree oven, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Removed the bottom layer from the oven, and as you can see it's developed a bit of color, and it has set a little bit. So now we're going to add the cream on top. Now, I'm hoping, because this does have eggs, that it won't curdle. I don't think it will, but if you are concerned, you can let this cool completely, or put it in the fridge for a bit, but I'm just going to risk it, because I'm a risk taker. And you're going to want to put in, the amount is up to you. I gave you a recipe for a full pastry cream. You can add it all, you can add half, it's based on your discretion. It looks like I'm going to really make this a crazy rich dessert, so I'm going to add it all. Alright, so now all you need to do is spread this out. You can already see it's starting to melt. Oh, it's melting as I'm spreading it. again, you're witnessing a major baking experiment, but hey, if it works out, it's going to be great, because I'm honestly, I went to this bakery and I said, I'm going to need to do this. I need to try this out because it was delicious. So I'm going to continue to spread this because it is taking a little bit of time, but I'll show you what it looks like when it's all spread out. I would recommend when you take the base layer out of the fridge, or out of the oven, to put it right in the fridge because it'll make the spreading a lot easier. And I would recommend using the entire pastry cream recipe that I showed you before, because you will need it all. So now I'm going to put this back in the oven for about another 5 or 7 minutes for it to set, and then we're going to add the top layer. And I'll show you what it looks like once this middle layer is set. Cream layer has set a bit. It still obviously needs more time in the oven, but it'll be good enough, I'm sure, to spread this out, I hope. So now we'll add our top layer, which is actually just our bottom layer again, but just the remaining bit that we have. So this might be a bit of a challenge, and this is where things might not end up exactly as planned. I'm going to try to spread this out as best as possible. The cream mixture is kind of making it difficult because although it has set a bit, it's still very fragile. So I'm going to do my best to try to spread this out. Spread our top layer out as best as possible. It's proving to be a little difficult, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, you know what? Where I'm along for the ride, you're along for the ride. It's not always about the look, it's about the taste. And I can tell you, this smells amazing. So I'll already tell you this is gonna be good. It's gotta be good. There we go. So we got a nice layer here on the top, and what I'm trying to get is a nice kind of that smooth center and the chewy bottom and top. But believe it or not, even after we bake this, there's still a little more to do. So here we go. Don't worry, I seem to have managed to do okay, but don't worry if you get some of the pastry cream on top. It's not the end of the world. So you spread it out evenly like this, and then we're going to put it now back in the oven for, I would say, a good at least 15 minutes. I'm going to be the judge and I'll let you know for sure, but you're going to want it to set, of course set, and you're going to want it to develop a nice golden brown on the top. So I'll show you what it looks like once. It took about 15 extra minutes, and it's developed a nice golden brown color. Now we need to let this cool completely. We can let it cool for a few minutes and put it in the fridge if you want to fast track it. And it needs to completely cool. And then we're going to do the finishing touch, and I'll show you the next step. So I have my white chocolate here with a teaspoon of butter and a pinch of salt, and we're going to make our white chocolate ganache to go on top of these squares. So the cream is just about fully heated. You're going to need a third of a cup of whipping cream to 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. So I'm going to bring over the whipping cream. Alright, so now our cream has come to a boil, or just below a boil, so now I'm just going to pour this all over the top here. And I'm going to let this sit for about a minute, and then I'm going to stir it together, and then we'll have our ganache. So sorry about earlier, I was just confusing myself. You're going to need 3/4 of a cup of white chocolate chips. That's about 130 grams. You're going to need a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of butter. And you're going to need about 1/3 of a cup of heavy whipping cream. So I'm just going to let this sit, and then alright, so this is the mixture you should have. It's a nice, smooth, glossy, white, beautiful ganache. And this is what's going to go on top of our squares here. So I'm going to let this cool completely, and after that we will pour it over the top and we'll soon take a taste. I've given time for both this to cool completely, as well as the ganache. So now we're going to put it on top. Now, when I went to the bakery, they actually had, it was a white chocolate ganache with chocolate spots in it. But I'm just going to do the ganache for now. I'm really curious to see how it'll compare to the one I had at the bakery. It's going to be very interesting because it was really good, and I've just never seen anything done like it. So I'm very curious to see how this turns out. Make sure you get all of it. You're going to need all of it. And what we're going to need to do is simply spread this out so that the entire top is covered. Yeah, this is the one thing about squares that's a bit of a pain for me. I like squares, but I don't like the spreading out part. Especially when you're doing a thin layer, it takes time and patience. Alright, so I am going to continue spreading this out until we have a nice surface covered, till we have the entire top covered, and I will show you what it looks like. Alright, so I have the entire top covered, as you can see here. So now I need to put it in the fridge for about an hour, and then we will cut it into squares.